This podcast is a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to find out more. G'day guys, Mike here. Thank you for listening to my podcast. This is Mike Talks, a sometimes Friday edition of this podcast that I sometimes do when I sometimes have time, which currently I do. This week it is with Jack Post, one of my best friends, one of my radio mentors, and just someone that I always have tons of fun chatting to and laughing with, and this chat is exactly that. It went on for longer than we thought. It gets a bit chaotic, but lots of laughs, lots of detours, chatting all about his radio career, podcasting and music, and his podcast Jackie Road Studio, and all of those things. So it was super fun. I hope you enjoy this chat. The best way to support this show, I'm going to quickly do them before we start. Contact me anytime, radiomikepod@gmail.com or radio.mike on Instagram. Follow me there. Subscribe on my YouTube. Just type in Radio Mike. All of my podcasts go up on YouTube as full videos, including this one. So if you'd like to watch it instead of just listening to it, feel free to do so. I also have a podcast called Harry Potter and the Boys. It is my Harry Potter fan fiction podcast where I read Harry Potter fan fiction that I wrote when I was in year 7. So please go and check that out as well. It's going gangbusters. Lots of people are listening and I really appreciate that too. And you can buy a sticker pack for this podcast. You get 5 stickers for $20 at radiomike.com.au. That's a way you can support the show financially. But without further ado, let's go on to my chat with Jack Post. All right, welcome to another edition of Mike Talks. I am Mike, I talk, and my guest today is Jack Post, good friend of the show and good friend of me.
Hello, good friend Radio Mike. Thank you for having me on your show.
How have you been, man? How you going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me in your bedroom as well.
Yeah, so off air, just before we started, Jack said, should we talk about The Room? Like, as in my bedroom. And I was like, yeah, we can talk about The Room, the Tommy Wiseau film.
I only ever saw the James Franco one. Did you see the
Disaster
actual...
Artist?
Yeah.
I've never seen The Room. And then
Neither.
I was reading about it. Funnily enough, yesterday I was reading about it and I was like, I have to watch this movie because apparently it's like just one of the biggest cinematic messes of all time.
Yeah, and that's what made it a cult classic. But seeing the Disaster Artist... it gives you an idea, I guess, of what the film is.
But I'm kind of wondering, because wasn't Tommy Wiseau, I don't know if I'm saying the name right, but wasn't he part of the Disaster Artist? Like, he went up and accepted an award for the Disaster Artist, and I'm like, this whole thing is about how bad your movie was and what a bad experience it was for people.
I don't know. I really don't know. He seems like such a strange character.
Yeah, and then there's like, is it Greg Sestero or something like that? But yeah.
Is this a bit for people watching the video? Do I look a litlittle bit sexual with the shorts on?
Yeah, so Jack's wearing really short, like safety orange shorts, and he's sitting like man-spreading on this chair, and you can see pretty much his whole crotch region.
I'm going to do a lean forward.
There's no subtlety in it at all. Check out the videos on YouTube. You just finished like... I was actually thinking, what can I plug for Jack? But you've just finished your podcast, Jackie Road Studios. Yep. Christian O'Connell Breakfast Show is now on break.
Yep.
And the Hamish and Andy podcast, the last episode just went to air on the day of recording this. So I realized this is kind of pointless because you have nothing to plug for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I've got nothing. But although this is funny, Christian O'Connell got his first big... Herald Sun spread. I don't know if you saw it on the weekend.
Yeah, I saw it with his kids and everything.
So it was, what's the magazine lift out of Herald Sun? I think it's called Weekend or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, him and his family are on the front page with their dog, and it literally came out the day after we finished on air. So we finished on Friday, then it came out on Saturday. The biggest press he's ever got in his 3 years of being in Melbourne. If people are like, all right, I like this family, I'll give this show a go. You can't for 6 weeks.
Turn on at 6 a.m. on Monday and it's like Huggy or something like that. Huggy's great, by the way.
Yeah, Huggy's great.
If you're looking for Christian, it's not Huggy.
But you can still get the podcast. And you can still get the podcast of Hamish and Andy. You can still get the podcast of Jackie Road Studios.
I guess because I listen to podcasts as they come out. Like, I'm always up to date on my podcast. But some people might binge listen and save up episodes and stuff like that.
Be catching up. Did you get your Spotify updates of what podcasts you listen to most?
Yeah, but I don't use Spotify for podcasts. I use Pocket Casts. So my Spotify one's always like a really weird stuff that I just happened to click on once on Spotify. like 6 months ago. I'm like, oh yeah, I listened to one episode of that on Spotify just because it came up. So the podcast ones are never accurate.
Yep.
But yeah.
I've got something in mind for someone that people can check out, which I haven't started yet.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking of starting a Cameo.
Can you believe it? No, I think people would buy that.
Yeah,
but would it be Jack from Hamish and Andy or Jack from Jackie Road Studios or from Christian O'Connell?
Can you be from multiple things?
I guess so.
I don't know. I've never really used it. I've been given a Cameo, but I've never asked somebody to do one for me.
What's the target demographic for your Cameo? It would be Hamish and Andy listeners.
I guess Hamish and Andy fans or Christian O'Connell fans, and I'm thinking for extra, I'll write you a song.
Oh, that's pretty good. But you know what?
I'll write a song for you, like your loved one who you're getting the gift for.
You know what you should do though to give people more value is like when we're back recording Hamish and Andy, just do your cameos in the studio with them in the background. So like force them to be a part of it.
I actually thought of that. You pay extra to have Hamish and Andy accidentally in the background.
That's a very good idea.
Pay extra again for me to actually get their attention for the video.
Yeah.
So one would be like, so you just look out that way.
Yeah.
And I would be like, hey guys, hey, happy birthday to Andrew. Hope you have a great 21st, man. But then the extra money would be like, happy birthday to Andrew. Hey, Hamish from Hamish and Andy. Have a great birthday,
happy
man.
Happy birthday, Andrew. An inadvertent happy birthday. No, that's great, man.
Thanks, man.
So that's something you can look out for, Jack. Let's talk.
When does this come out? Maybe I'll
tomorrow.
try. All right, I'll try and get the Cameo up by overnight.
Okay, yeah, well, good luck. Is it? Don't you have to? I guess you have to.
I
have
don't know
blue
what you
tick.
have to do.
Luke Kidgel has one.
Does he?
Luke and Lou both have one.
All right.
It's probably pretty easy. And also Corey from Corey into House has one.
Who's that?
So there was a TV show. Maybe
Is that Corey Worthington?
No. Maybe it was a bit older than you. Not older than you. You were a bit older for this, but there was a show on Saturday Disney called That's So Raven. Did you ever see that?
Oh, that sounds familiar, but no, I didn't watch it.
On the show That's So Raven, the character had a little brother called Corey. And then I never saw it, but I think after That's So Raven ended, they did a spin-off show called Corey into House where Corey goes and lives in the White House, which seems like such an absurd premise for a show.
Is it? It's not Australian?
No, it's American.
All right, okay, that makes more sense.
But just like, why was he living in the White? Did anyone see that show? That's what I want to know.
Why was Corey in that house?
Yeah.
So how much does Corey cost and how much do Luke and Lou cost on Cameo?
I think I don't actually know. Corey was decent value for money though.
Yeah.
But can I just detour because I just thought of something funny. You were the first guest on this podcast, 20th Century Boy, episode 5, last year. And I'm pretty sure we talked about Corey Worthington on that, right? And I said that my goal in life is to speak to someone that went to Corey Worthington's birthday party.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And when I recently, just on a whim, I was reading the Hamish and Andy emails that come in because you I do that. That's my job. Yep. And one of the things people can fill in is like, what is something about you, or like, what is a special thing about you, or whatever. And someone said, I went to Corey Worthington's party, and I was like, oh, I wish I could because it's not really right for me to use the email.
Call them.
Really?
Call them and have them on the show.
But he didn't write into my show. He wrote into Hamish and Andy, so I didn't feel like.
Or do because you always call the people back. So you're like, hey, this is Mike from the Hamish and Andy show. You got a great upset, Andy. Can we call you on the show? Why don't you do that to him
and pretend that?
Yeah, and then be like, I forgot Hamish and Andy's finished for the year, but I got a podcast as well. If you want to come on that.
Nah, it's not. I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't know if I can.
I would love to know about that party though.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's such cutting edge content. Like I feel like I should do it. But enough about me and Corey. Let's talk about you.
No, thanks, Mike.
Jackie Road Studios was really awesome, man.
Thanks, man.
Like what was the best part about it?
No, really hard hitting question. Let me think about it.
Man.
Oh, jeez.
What is your favorite? It's like when I remember once Mike Larkin, the weatherman from Channel 10, came to our school in grade 1. And it's like everyone had to prepare a question, and pretty much everyone's question was either, what is your favorite part about being a weatherman, or how do you know what the weather is going to be?
Oh, that's the class clown.
But yeah, what's your favorite part about Jackie Road?
Well, for people who don't know Jackie Road Studio, I'll just say what it is.
Jackie Road Studio or Studios?
Studio, sorry.
Yeah, right. No, that's all right, man. Just get your own podcast right.
I interview a guest and then I use something from the chat to write an original song that you hear at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So it was a double effort podcast because I had to book the guests, do the interview, and then after they're gone, have to go away and write a song.
Yes. But no one asked you to do it.
No,
You chose
that's right.
You're acting like it was like, it was really, they put a lot of pressure on me. It's like you decided all of that.
Yeah, I did.
No,
and
when it was really cool.
when I came up with it, I was so excited. I was like, yes, I've never heard this in a podcast before. This is a great way. Like, I do like writing songs.
Yeah.
I can think of cool people I'd want to interview. So my favorite part of doing the whole thing was probably that 2 weeks before the podcast started when I just basked in the glory of a great idea and then actually had to go and do the work.
Yeah.
And because I talked to you behind the scenes, but how much I started to hate the format that I'd put myself in because the songs were taking me way too long to do and I lost all my weekends. And
well, I don't think I think you, it was a lot of effort, but at the same time, you enjoyed all the output of it. But I know what you mean.
Yep.
Like, it started to become a lot of effort alongside your actual job.
Yep. It was the same thing every 2 weeks. So I did the song every week and then every other week I broke down how I made the song. But so every 2 weeks I had to deliver a song on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing every 2 weeks. Like, I get to Saturday morning, not have anything, curse myself, curse the fact that I made the idea for the podcast, tell my wife, why did I do this? This is the stupidest idea ever. This makes me no money. I've got a normal job. Why am I doing this?
Oh, but
then I would
come on, man. The creative outlet.
It gets better. It gets better.
Yeah, okay.
Then I would start working on it, eventually get to a point where I was excited and liked the idea of the song. I was like, oh yeah, great. Ride high on that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Then there's the grind of actually then doing it, like recording the guitars, have to send it to a guy who recorded drums, doing all the mixing on the computer, which I'm not good at because when I started the podcast, I didn't really know how to do any of that.
Yeah.
And then grind, stay up way too late on Sunday night and get it delivered. And I was hating, that's the part I hated most, is like, this is way too much work. The people who listen to this show should be so grateful, and they're not.
All right, man. We get it. You hate it.
But
we
then Monday morning would come because I'd done it.
Yeah.
Monday morning I'd wake up, I'd listen to the song on the way into work, and I'd be like, this song's awesome. I'd listen to the interview again. I was like, this is so good. Like, this is such a good podcast. And then I would ride high on that feeling for the whole next week and then have to repeat it again.
Yeah. I mean, my podcast isn't as much effort as that was, but sometimes the effort I put into it, I'm like, this is so much effort and I don't make any money off this. But then once it's out and people listen and respond to it, it's a really good feeling.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
the
can
best
appreciate
part.
that.
But you sadly can't get one without the other.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys,
Well,
can you
yeah.
just keep writing me emails telling me you love me, but I don't have to put out anything?
It's kind of like money, right? It's like you have to go to work to get money, but you just really want the
I like
money.
the spending part.
I like the getting stuff. I just hate the working for it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon was the best song you put out? Because is there 12 songs?
Yeah, there's 12 songs. So I've just last week finished the album.
Yeah.
So I did 24 episodes, which produced 12 songs, which is kind of like good enough to call an album.
Yeah.
I set out to do 14, but 12 was good enough for me.
Yeah, nice.
So the whole album I'm getting that remastered so they all sort of sound the same, which I don't know much about that. I'm sending it to a guy to do that.
Yeah.
And then it'll come out on Spotify and all your streaming services as a full album. But at the moment you can go on Spotify and just see the playlist if you search Jackie Road Studios or Jack Post, and you can see all 12 songs there. I always, like, the recency effect was always making me like the most recent song. So probably my most favorite at the moment is the one that I did last week, which was called The Protege, which you featured on.
Yes, love that. A lot of fun.
Which was great. That's probably my favorite song, and the one I did the week before that after Andy's episode, which was called Thanks for Tuning In.
That was a really funny one as well. I think the one that no matter what is just still stuck in my head to this day is the ballad of the kid who wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons.
Oh yeah,
which was the Christian Hull episode.
Yeah, that was the second one I did. Yeah, I reckon that That one is, I always get more feedback about the ones that have raps in them.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
People just get impressed when people they don't expect to be able to rap can rap. Because on Release the Sounds, our band, CD just up there, guys. Just grab it down, Jack, and show it to them.
Now.
We still have a few left if you want one, signed copies. On Pants Up, which is it's barely hip hop, but it's like
but it's got rapping in it, you would say. Yeah.
When I did the rap verse in that, everyone was like, "Oh, what the hell?" Like, someone sent me a voice message to my podcast phone number. It's like, "Whoa, Mike, you can spit bars, man." And it's like, I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah, well, that's my experience as well. Everybody always like gets so excited about the rap one. So there was 2 or 3 of those on there. And then Thanks for Tuning In probably got the broadest amount of feedback. I think because it sounds like, I think it's just a well-structured song in terms of like how all the songs turned out. They're all a little bit weird, but that one like sounds like it could be a song on radio or something if it wasn't a joke song.
Yeah. I actually thought, because we should tell this story because I was the first guest on the episode.
Yeah.
And originally, Jack pitched the podcast to me.
No, you didn't listen. That's the thing. I told you exactly what to expect.
No.
Listen.
Jack pitched the podcast to me originally as the entire podcast was having a guest, and the podcast is writing a song with the guest, like live as the podcast, right? So you would together write the song. So Jack got me in for the first episode and just starts interviewing me. And I was like, oh, this is going on for so long. We haven't even started writing the song. I wonder when we're going to start. And then he just wrapped it up and I was like, so now do we write the song? And Jack was like, oh, no, we don't write the song together.
That would be so hard though if we tried to write a song during a podcast. I think it would be really tough.
But you'd be under like the time constraints and all of that.
Yeah.
But
the one good thing about that is like because people were saying to me as I'm moving into like, I've promised on the podcast that I'll move into some sort of phase 2 of Jackie Road Studios next year.
Nice.
And people say to me, why don't you just make the songs like once every month? But I don't think it's really the time. Like, I actually think you give yourself more time. You just put more effort into making it sound better. That doesn't necessarily give you more free time or take more stress away from you. I reckon if you had something like, all right, we've got 1 hour to write a song, then people would be more forgiving because they know the time constraints.
Yeah.
And you can't get super stressed about it because you're like, well, I've got an hour to do it.
I have to
whatever
put
I come up with
something out.
is what it is.
It is like, I mean, you were still under a week. Like not even a week, sometimes like 3 days, right, to turn a song around.
Yeah, but only because every Monday I would go, all right, why don't I get a head start this first time? Why don't I get a head start on it and do it now? And then I would just do that thing where you pick up a guitar and you're just like, nah. Don't play anything. Then you end up playing like Time of Your Life or something.
But it's amazing because like, every song is like really good.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
The other one I forgot to mention is the British India song.
Yeah.
That's actually like, that song actually genuinely sounds to me like it could have come off Blink-182's Enema of the State. Like,
thanks,
it actually,
man.
the guitars, everything about it, particularly the guitars. And for those who don't know, that song is about, you interviewed Matt O'Gorman, who's a friend of ours and the drummer for British India. And it was about like British India inadvertently becoming like a really demanding band of their support.
Well, you told me, which I found so strange. They would tour the country without their instruments.
Yeah.
And they would just make the support band in each regional town give them their instruments. Yeah. It's like an exchange for, hey, if you guys want to play with British India, you got to let us use your drum kit.
We never buy instruments, so we just use yours. Yeah. And if we break them, it's your problem.
Matt, I don't think he owns a drum kit. I asked him.
No, he does.
Does he?
He was in the music video for our...
that's right. That was his drum
kit.
Yeah.
And the drum kit in that video has the British India logo on it.
Yeah. How many bands have a film clip with a different
band? So if you go and watch the music video for A Touch to String, you can see the British India logo on the drum kit. It's so funny. But yeah. But that song.
The Release the Sound stuff is really gaining traction on like Spotify and I actually saw you post it is what made me think of it. Because I've sort of like, I never go to see like how many streams we're getting or whatever, but people are still listening to it.
Yeah, I don't either. But then I just went to look at our profile on Spotify, and Instagram song got over 10. I think it's got like 11,000, which compared to your bloody Justin Bieber's is nothing.
Compared to your Biebers.
For a grassroots band from Melbourne, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like 10,000, and then Attached to Strings probably going to get 10,000 soon as well.
Yeah. And then you put on top of that the 40 CDs that we sold. So that's another.
You're probably adding 100 plays each from that. But even a guy, because the Spotify Wrapped, as we talked about, is happening, and a guy sent me a screenshot and was like, "Oh, I'm in the top 0.05% of Release the Sounds listeners." But then I'm like, how many listeners are there?
Yeah, true.
Like, I was in the top 0.05 for Blink-182, and I'm like, well, that's actually pretty good.
0.05.
Maybe it was just 0.5.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just 0.5, which is still
I
good.
believe it for Release the Sounds. That guy who sent it probably is 10,000 of the 10,500 streams.
But I had a dad message me and say my kids love the Instagram song.
Oh, great. That's
think,
awesome.
And I think it is kind of like, it's, obviously it's comedic genius and satirical genius.
But it's also family friendly.
But I also think just the vibe of the song is very like, it could be like a high five song. I don't know, like just the way the song sounds.
Yeah, that's like I wrote a song for Hamish and Andy called The Apology Song, where I apologized for everything I'd done wrong on the show.
Yeah.
And I've had the same thing. People tell me that their kids listen to it in the car. When they get in the car, they request the apology song, which is just bizarre. And
so funny.
All those references must be going over their heads. But I think, again, it sounds like a kind of high-five-y type song.
But yeah, and also just like, I remember there was this song, you probably before, after your time as well, there was this like online song that went viral like in 2005 called The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny. Did you ever hear about that? So you should check it out. It's quite funny. It's by a guy, I can't pronounce his surname, but it's like Neil Ciagera, who went by Lemon Demon, and he also created the Potter Puppet Pals. Did you know Potter Puppet?
All these words making absolutely recalling bells in my head.
I think most people listening to this would know the Potter Puppet Pals, which was like a Harry Potter puppet show that was really funny.
Right.
And but he did this thing called The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny, which was basically like this song that detailed this battle of like a bunch of famous fictional characters. Like it starts with Godzilla and Batman comes in, and there's like, it's a rap as well. And just, I remember as a kid, I heard it and I didn't even know many of the characters. Like it had like Bill and Ted in it, and I didn't know who they were really. I do now. But I just remember wanting to learn and hear this song because I just thought it was so cool and it was a rap. And I think it's like kids hear like these sort of rapped vocals and think it's really cool and want to learn it.
I think for my age group, I reckon would be something called Celebrity Deathmatch. Have you ever heard of that?
I have heard of that, yeah.
So it's like plasticine, like Wallace and Gromit style cage matches or boxing matches between celebrities. And I remember loving it, and it was only on Foxtel, so I could only watch it at my neighbour's house.
Yeah, okay.
But it was the same thing. Like I only knew every fifth celebrity, but I still loved the idea of like, oh, this person called Claudia Schiffer is fighting Hanson or whoever it was. And they would kill each other, and that was cool as well. But do you just like reeling off all those like names of Neil Strauss, or what was his name?
Neil Ciagera. Yeah. Do you want? I can still rap the bit at the end where all the heroes come in.
Great, go.
All right, I'm gonna do it. So it goes like, then Gandalf the Grey, and Gandalf the White, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail's Black Knight, and Benito Mussolini, and the Blue Meanie, and Cowboy Curtis, and Jambi the Genie, Robocop, Terminator, Captain Kirk, Darth Vader, Lopan, Superman, every single Power Ranger, Bill S. Preston and Theodore Logan, Spock, The Rock, Doc Ock, and Hulk Hogan all came out of no... Like, and it goes on.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I still remember all the words to that, and I'll never forget it, and I loved it. But also, like, do you know the song White and Nerdy by Weird Al Yankovic?
Yeah.
Even that song, like, the whole song is sort of, like... You know, Weird Al's this white and nerdy guy who's doing like a gangster rap parody. And I always found that really cool as well.
Yep. But you're a guy, would you know a whole lot of Eminem songs?
Love Eminem.
Back to front?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yes. Yep. Without Me, Lose Yourself, all the classic, Till I Collapse.
The only rap I reckon I could do from popular culture maybe is in Gorillaz, Clint Eastwood.
Oh yeah, do it. Do it. I just did that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think. I think I'd even have to hear the lead in to know it. Okay, so it's the song that goes like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm feeling sad.
Yeah, it's from Demon Days.
Yep. Is it? I thought it was from the self-titled album. Or maybe it's called Demon Days.
I thought it was from
Are they
Demon
in
Days.
an army vehicle on the front?
Oh, no, Clint Eastwood is from that one.
Yeah.
Demon Days is Feel Good Inc.
Yeah,
and
this
Kids
is
with Guns, maybe?
This is definitely from the army album.
Yeah, okay.
Well, finally, someone let me out of my cage. Time for me is nothing because I'm counting no age. I shouldn't be scared. That's all I got.
So he knows 4 lines. 4 lines, guys. That was pathetic. That was pathetic.
Edit that out. People are going to
No, I'm not editing that out. I'm not editing that out. I'm keeping it in. How, so you finished up Brekkie Radio. Sorry to pivot away from that.
No,
do you
that's
have more
fine.
to say on
No, I can't.
on your
No,
Clint
those
Eastwood?
lyrics aren't coming to me any quicker.
Oh, actually, speaking of gorillas, there's a rap bit in Feel Good Inc. that I always wanted to learn but couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Where, you know that bit where it's like, just laughing gas.
Oh, yeah, the laughing
Like
gas.
hazmat. It's my chocolate attack. Like, I always wanted to learn that, but just couldn't. So
Can
that's
you
a shame.
wait, I've got a feeling you can do All of One Week by Bare Naked Ladies.
Can do all of 1 week.
All right,
Bare
okay.
Naked. No, I'm not doing it now.
That's the song I always hear that I heard it actually on Saturday night and I thought like, man, if you did this at karaoke or something, people would be
Clean
so
up.
impressed.
So that's a funny story because me and we're at my share house.
Yep.
Dan, who lives with me in the room over there,
Is the original singer of Bare Naked Ladies.
he is not, unfortunately. No, it was him and I. We were just at my house at my parents' like maybe 5 years ago now. We went to school together and I just remember we were listening to the song and we were just like, you know what, man? We just have to learn the words to this song. We just have to. And then we sat there instead of going out one night, that's what we planned to do. We just sat there and learnt the words. So now if he came home now and I said, hey man, come in here and rap 1 week by the Bare Naked Ladies, like we'd both be able to do it.
That's awesome. I hope he comes home by the end of this podcast.
It's like, yeah, it's a really funny song to sing because it's so weird. But
Because
yeah.
it starts fast and then it gets even faster.
Yeah.
And man,
You start with your chickadee chinas.
Yeah.
You end with your Get in Tune with Sailor Moon because that cartoon has got the boom anime babies that make me think the wrong thing. You end up with that.
And I think you'd be sitting in the like karaoke room, that weird semicircle that they've got, and you'd be, when you started, people would be like, "Whoa!"
And then people would be like,
and then you get, then you get to the chorus. Ah!
No, but like I actually think that's really wanky. Like I did karaoke once at a friend's birthday, and like there was this girl there who, by all accounts, was an incredible singer.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
You can't be too good at karaoke.
She was going to, it was Evanescence, Wake Me Up Inside. And she was just like, wake me up inside. And like, not like that.
Yeah, but
she was
she was
good.
awesome, yeah.
And I was just like, nah, that's not what karaoke.
Yeah.
Karaoke is not your X Factor audition.
No.
Karaoke is just having fun with mates.
I reckon you and me are sort of at like a perfect level for karaoke where we're better than average, but not so good that people are like, well, you've obviously had professional training and now you're ruining it for the rest of us.
And then
It's like, it's not perfect, but hey.
Yeah. Like, I think I asked her, I was like, what do you do? She's like, oh, I'm a singing teacher. And I'm like, oh, well,
Great.
there you go.
Good
like,
fun.
It's like,
Yeah, and then you get up to do 1 week since because you've got no confidence
then
now.
you feel shit. It's like if you're playing Jack in the Pack with a bunch of guys on the oval. You know Jack in the Pack, right?
Is it that marks up?
Markers up, which is where you kick the footy, someone marks it, then they become the kicker.
Yeah, and
right?
it's like Richo's in the pack with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Richo, or I was going to say Matthew Lloyd. He's the only AFL player I know. Like if you're playing footy with
Matthew
friends.
Lloyd, say.
Matthew Lloyd is there and Dusty's there, okay?
Yeah.
Dustin Martin is there and it's like, Dusty, I think you should go home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, you're too good. We can't play against you and we're not having fun. You're having fun, we can see that, but we're not.
We used to play, when we got bored of we called it Marks Up.
We called it Markers Up, and I had a cousin called Marcus, and and if he got it, we'd be like, oh, Marcus Up. It was so stupid. Sorry, continue.
And the idea was when you did the pack mark, you got to be the person who kicked.
Yeah.
But
so it's like one and then a group of like
5
people.
kicker, group of 5.
Yeah.
And then nobody actually wanted to be the kicker, so when you marked it, this was popular in our group. You'd mark it, obviously, and then you like drop it on
Deliberately
purpose.
fumble, yeah. They're like, Oh, so close. Sorry, mate. You got to stay up there because everyone wants to be the marker.
Everybody wants to be the marker. No one wants to be the kicker.
Or if you mark it, then you just kick a really easy one that you know someone's going to mark, so you just go back.
Well, as the kicker, you can only do badly. Like if you kick it perfectly, no one cares. They're just playing the game.
Yeah.
But if you kick it bad, they're like, this guy sucks. Boo.
We can't even mark that. What the hell? Who invited this guy?
And then we used to play a version of like doing a specky, which was one person was kicking, then one person was nominated to be like getting speckied on. Usually somebody lower in the rung in the social pecking order. And you would try and...
All right, Tim, you're going to be Specky again. Oh, I always have to be Specky. Why can't I Specky?
You'll get a go. Don't worry. You can just do a few. Like after a whole of lunch, the bell rings. He's like, oh, can I have a go?
Next lunchtime, for sure. It's
Tim.
Friday. Monday, for sure. You were telling a story.
No, that's kind of the end of it.
Oh, okay. No, speaking of speckies, and we're detouring a lot. But that's
all right. We'll get to that breakfast show question.
Yeah. Speaking of speckies, I remember once my you know those places you used to go for kids' birthday parties when you were at school, where like it's like a sports center, and they take you, they run a party, you play a few sports and team stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
So we had one of those, and like, everyone showed up and all the kids were like mucking around before we officially started. And the boy whose birthday party it was speckied one of his friends, and the friend like didn't expect it, so he just like flinched, and then the boy whose birthday it was landed on his hand and broke his wrist, and he had to go to the hospital. But because the parents had paid for the party, all the other kids just stayed at the party.
It's like Bart Simpson with a broken leg watching everybody swimming in his pool.
It was such an awkward feeling, because it was like, well, we're here for Chris's party, but Chris is in hospital and we're just celebrating his birthday without him. And then there was birthday cake,
bags.
We sang to him and he wasn't there, and everyone's like laughing, like, oh, happy birthday to Chris. And it's like, he's not even there. And then at school, like the next week, it was like, oh man, your birthday was so good. And he's like in his sling, like, oh, fuck. So good. But yeah, all right, breakfast radio.
Now back to the normal questions. Enough of that birthday party stuff.
No, enough of this gorillas rapping and stuff. So you finished up Christian O'Connell. How was this year?
You know what? Actually, I'm so thankful this year because...
I thought you were going to say, I'm so thankful this year's over.
No, so thankful for this year doing the radio show, I reckon, because I got to keep going in. I did 4 weeks of lockdown only.
Yeah.
And then we got special permits as... I don't know, under a general media umbrella of the media must go on to broadcast from the studio. So I've really felt like having that sense of normalcy. I didn't really struggle too much with 2020.
Nice.
And I already try and weasel out of social situations and going to parties and stuff. So that part was perfect for me. And then like having these 5 hours out in the morning where I'm seeing my friends who I work with, doing the show, keeping busy. And then I come home. I had still the Hamish and Andy podcast. I had my podcast to do. So it kind of fit me really well, 2020.
Nice. Cool.
And Bianca, my wife, was still working as well. She was able to go in. So we didn't really struggle as much as some people did. How did you find it?
Oh, I mean, this podcast's not about
me. Come on. You can have a go.
No, pretty similar in some ways. Like, a lot of my work ended up being home-based. And I was living in an apartment at the time, so I was by myself in an apartment. And like, I had stuff to do. I had work every day. I was very lucky that I kept a lot of my work, and you know, the podcast production industry, if anything, kind of ramped up in that time. And it's really becoming very competitive in Australia. Like, there's a lot happening in that space. So I was very lucky to keep jobs. I picked up the Chaser Report podcast as well, so a bit happening.
Hey, what happened to, for a while you were going to like start your own business that was like, Mike, the podcast producer, I'll come and produce your podcast. Did you just get too busy for that?
Oh, I mean, I still make podcasts for people, but it's just like I don't have enough time.
Yeah, you're not going outwardly like, hey, I'll make your podcast.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of it was a bit hard. Like, I was a bit cooped up, but I'm just thankful I had stuff to do.
Yeah.
Because it just meant I had sort of purpose and I had something to do during the days that I could focus on. And yeah.
Do you prefer now living with? Sorry, you got I've got the shortest cord on the
Sorry.
microphone at Mike's 20th Century Boy headquarters.
I just moved here and like all my stuff is in boxes.
So I can't. Anytime I like lean back and try and relax,
Sorry,
it like pulls me. It's like being in a stress position. It pulls
sorry,
me back.
Sorry, man. Is your back
Except
sore?
Mike gets this like really fancy arm that's hydraulic.
Do you want to swap?
No,
Okay.
I don't want to swap. It'll look weird in the edit of the video.
Not really. You just do this. I do that.
All right. No. Now it's no. That's
Okay,
looking really
whatever.
weird.
All
I'll just lean forward.
Sorry, guys. This is called having a difficult guest.
How?
Sorry, guys. We got a bit of a diva in the studio today.
They haven't called us longer than I didn't even know you could buy cords this short. And then I always get that feeling like I'm pulling on it, and am I yanking it out? Because we don't have
it's all good.
headphones, we
It's all
don't
good.
know if we're still recording.
And to make-
Now something comes
to
up on
make-
your screen that says
My-
space is override.
My MacBook we're recording this on my laptop and my MacBook is running out of space. So who knows if the video is even going to save down at the end. But it's all right.
Does that mean we have to speed up?
No, we don't
Like
have to speed
finish
up
scene?
because Zoom's actually really good. It saves the video to a cloud and then it just says double click this link when you have enough space to download it.
Oh,
So
that
it's
is
actually very, very good. I was actually.
Oh no, I was going to ask you how do you feel living with housemates versus when you were living in the apartment on your own?
Oh, so good. I'm living with two like great housemates who are like really good friends of mine.
Yep.
And my housemate's dog Arlo.
That vicious dog who tried to kill me when I came.
Arlo is a rescue dog and like she gets very scared of new people and stuff. So I actually had Zach, my mate Zach. I think you've met Zach a couple times.
He
Zach
was
Miller.
here in one of the video clips for
Yeah,
Release the Sounds.
he's in the
Yep.
Instagram song video clip, and Zach came and Arlo just jumped up and barked in his face, and like luckily he said his girlfriend has a dog, so he's used to like that kind of behavior and stuff. But
You
I
know
just
what
felt
it,
so
it
bad.
reminded me of, and I just watched this on the weekend. White Chicks. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't seen one.
I'd never seen it either.
Yeah.
Don't bother.
Oh really? I've heard it's hilarious.
It's not that good.
Okay.
It was maybe 3 laughs for, the 80 or 90 minutes that it went for. Wasn't
Yeah,
really
okay.
worth it. But there's this scene. Well, I mean, this scene has been in so many comedy movies before, but where they a dog is really aggressive and they shut it in a room and then they're got their back to the door and the dog is like pushing
Arlo's
down
not
the door.
like
That's
that.
what happened in
No.
there.
And she settled down.
That dog could smell me and she wanted to kill me.
She settled down and she's now probably outside the room waiting for us to finish. Because like Arlo, my housemates, I'm still working from home predominantly. Both my housemates are working out of home.
Yeah.
And because they're out and Arlo like is sort of walking up and down the hallways, every morning I wake up and Arlo's just waiting by my door.
Oh,
like
that
waiting.
is so sweet.
She's waiting for me to get up so she has someone to play with. And then she just follows me around everywhere. And she just like sits outside the door when I'm working and like brings her toys over, being like, come on, play with me. And I'm like, oh, I've got to work. I'm so sorry, Arlo, but I have to work. I don't actually say that to her because she doesn't speak English.
No,
She's a
but I
dog.
talk to my dog all the time.
Yeah.
So if you do that, I don't judge you at all.
Yeah. So you got Tom Martin on as the producer of your show. Can we talk
Oh,
about
radio
that?
behind the scenes for big radio fans.
No, I was just gonna Tom is. We worked really briefly with Tom on the Luke and Lewis show when it was on Fox FM.
Yep.
And he's just like genuinely one of the best producers I've ever worked
Yeah,
with.
he's
Such
awesome.
a legend, and he takes it so seriously.
He's really serious.
And which is good. Like you
Yeah.
need someone to like especially on a show like Luke and Lewis at the time, which was such chaos. And then but I just remember the one thing we did that broke Tom and just made him laugh. Like I don't think he laughed once off air, right? We were just fucking around after a show and I was going through this phase where I was just having lots of Listerine pocket packs and like we were all just fucking around. And then I just went up to Tom and I was just like, hey Tom, Listerine pocket pack, and I just held it up to his face and everyone just burst out laughing, including Tom. But I assume he's been really
He's
good.
been great. You described him well, but it is actually what you want from your producer because while everybody else is screwing around trying to keep the vibe up and the energy up and telling jokes and making each other laugh, you actually need somebody in there who is, watching the clock and making sure that you're going to be moving forward and that everything that you need to do is getting done. He's perfect at that. Yeah, he's a real gun. He's worked on a bunch of Australian shows. He's from New Zealand radio originally, but he's worked on Will and Woody, Husey and Kate. He just came from Hot Breakfast with Eddie Maguire when we got him.
He did Ben and Liam as well.
Oh, and he was the first guy to do Ben and Liam when they were community radio in Adelaide before they went to Triple J.
Yeah. That's how. Have you seen their Instagram output? Ben and Liam is so funny,
dude. They work so hard. I mean, you got to. I'm in awe of them. Really, like I interviewed Liam for my podcast.
Yeah, I heard that one,
and he honestly, and I believed him when he said they're there till 3 o'clock still every day.
Yeah,
and then they're getting there at like 4 o'clock in the morning the next morning to do breakfast radio. Like that is a long day.
Yeah.
In an office.
They did this video. I think I sent it to you, and it was so funny where it was like Liam has just discovered Borat for the first time, and it was before Borat 2 was even announced. Yeah. And it's just Liam walking around the office, quoting a 13-year-old film, and just going like, "Oh, where's my chair?
My wife." It's really good.
Oh man, their Instagram output is just so funny.
And now that I noticed they're doing national breakfast on Nova now that all the city markets
summer break stuff.
have gone on summer break.
Yeah, cool.
So those guys are working so hard. I really love when people do well and because they put the work in, and I think they're a great example of that. Yeah. And I see still people comment on this stuff like with sellout type comments.
You guys suck on Triple J still. It's like we haven't been there for like 2 years.
No, but like a selling out comment is such a weird one. Like they left Triple J not in their home state to go back to their home city in Adelaide to do a job that they always wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I guess you can't please everybody.
Oh no, you definitely can't. Are you starting to feel the weight? Because you seem so unfazed with breakfast hours, whereas I worked on the hot breakfast for 1 month.
Yeah.
And the whole time, it was such a good experience. I learned so much. The team was amazing.
Yeah.
Tom Martin was on it. Michael James, the producer, amazing stuff. But the whole time I was just like, I never want to wake up at 4 a.m. ever again.
Yeah, but you weren't going to sleep early. That's the thing. Like, you literally weren't getting enough sleep.
What do you mean?
Weren't you still up at 11 and midnight and keeping your same routine?
My sleep pattern never adjusted because it was only a month and a half.
Yeah.
So I was still going to bed at midnight and waking up at 4. And then coming home and getting 2 more hours of sleep and then doing all my other jobs.
Yeah, and the day sleep never makes you... the day sleep, for whatever reason, never feels like 2 extra hours at night.
Yeah.
The first... Actually, be honest, the first 2 months I did on Breakfast Radio on Christian show, I was really, really struggled for that same reason. I hadn't adjusted the body clock yet. And I was just so exhausted. During the songs, I would go out outside the studio and where they've got a couch near the producing area and lie down on the couch and just try to get regain some energy. And I could tell that Christian was judging me through the glass. You got to think he's uprooted his whole family to come to Melbourne and make a go of it. Has to work doubly as hard up against really famous people on Melbourne radio. And the guy he's chosen as his sidekick
falling
is
asleep on the couch.
How long's in this song?
I'm gonna have a lie down. Minutes, all right, bye-bye. And then you used to do that at Hamish and Andy as well. You used to come into Hamish and Andy and you'd sit on the couch and nod off during breaks and stuff.
Did I?
Yeah. You told me never to say this and we hadn't cut it out, but you once fell asleep while we were all upstairs doing one of the special skill audits. You were down, you fell asleep on the couch and Hamish was like, "Where's Jack? We need Jack up here." So I went to get you and you were asleep and you were like, "Don't tell the boys, don't tell the boys."
That is so bad. I do remember that.
No,
yeah, in the first 2 months, I felt like I could just never get enough sleep.
I can totally I think it's pretty reasonable because even when I was doing that, and if I did the hot breakfast, got up at 4, finish that, and then go do Hamish and Andy at 9:45, which is when we start, till usually 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Right? That's 12 hours of just straight kind of, and particularly being on air or I was in studio paneling, those are pretty focused jobs. You have to be you have to be really focused.
Yeah,
in those
and I don't want
to
confuse people who do really hard jobs labouring or working landscaping all day or whatever, or being a nurse or working in a hospital, super physical, intense jobs. But there is something about always being switched on mentally and focused that it really sucks your energy out straight away. But even now that I'm getting enough sleep at night, so I try and get 7 hours and wake up at 4:30, I still am drained of energy by midday the next day.
Do you find that more with being on air or with paneling? Because I guess you weren't paneling in a breakfast shift, but I just find with paneling, it's always like you're always thinking of like the 3 or 4 next things, like songs, microphone, like just there's a lot of sort of mental juggling going on.
Yeah, I would say it's the same thing, but now you're thinking about I guess your attention is more on the show, and because I'm like a very active, like almost like a producer in the studio with Christian, where we build the show together. When we're coming off into the songs and stuff, we're just plotting out like what else is going to come up in the morning, or like what else you need in that same way that you do as a panel up, like making sure any audio you need is coming in. So I'm still trying to do that and keep active through it. So it feels like, despite the 2 months I spent trying to sleep on the couch during the songs, it feels like during that 3 hours, you never really stop running. You're always going.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. What else? What's planned for? What's your middle name?
We're back to the guy I met at the school, and you're one of the primary school kids. That's cool, thank you.
When did you decide to be a weatherman? I remember when Mike Larkin did come to my school, my teacher made a big deal of the fact, because I'm Mike Liberali.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh, you're Mike L and he's Mike L as well. Oh, you guys should get a photo. And there is a photo that exists of me in grade 1 with Mike Larkin. And I asked my mum if she could find it, but she can't find it anywhere, which is so disappointing. Because when Mike Larkin resigned from... By the way, and everyone who doesn't know, Mike Larkin was for a very long time the weatherman for Channel 10.
Only Melbourne, right?
Only Melbourne. Yeah. So a lot of people might not know who he is. Yeah. And so when he resigned, I think he was sadly made redundant because of all the changes.
Was he made redundant?
I think he may have. I'm not sure. So apologies if that's not correct, Mike. Who I assume is listening to this.
And if you are listening... How do you know what the weather's going to be like 2 days in advance?
Like, how do you explain that to a grade 1?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I wanted to post that photo of Instagram of me and Mike Larkin, but Mum couldn't find it anywhere, which is such a shame.
I had to write, with our whole class had to write letters to your favourite Olympian ahead of Sydney 2000.
Dear Ian Thorpe.
Yeah. Michael Klim.
Who's he? Is he a swimmer?
Oh, you don't remember Michael Klim?
The only ones I remember from that era is probably Thorpe and Kathy Freeman.
Right. No, well, Michael Klim was like maybe he would have been there. I reckon he probably swum the relays with Ian Thorpe.
Oh, okay.
He was a completely bald guy, so he didn't have to wear a swimming cap.
Isn't that Grant Hackett?
Grant Hackett, same era, different guy.
And is Michael Klim Australian?
Michael Klim is Australian.
Yeah, okay, cool. Should get him on the pod sometime. Mike Talks with Michael Klim.
Well, you can use my letter as a cheat sheet because I had to write my letter to him. But I didn't, as a kid, the only thing I cared about sports-wise was footy, and I didn't care one bit about the Olympics. I couldn't even remember the previous Olympics. So Sydney 2000 was like the first Olympics. Yeah. So I didn't know. I probably wrote questions like, how did you get into swimming?
We had a pool in our backyard.
They never wrote back. I think it was like a writing to Santa exercise.
Remember in year 8 at school, we had to write. We went on like some year 8 retreat. Like we went to a weird school, and we had to write letters to ourselves in year 12. And it's like, when you're in year 12, we're going to show you these letters, and you can see like what year 8 was like for you. So then when we were in year 12, we went on the year 12 retreat, and there was this teacher, and I was like, I reckon I was the only one who remembered. I was like, hey, are we going to get our letters from year 8 back? And he was just like, I don't think anyone knows where those letters are, mate. It was so funny because like everyone was like, I don't remember doing that. And it's like, I do. I've been counting down the days.
I can't wait to answer the questions from year 8 Mike.
Yeah.
If they had have actually done it properly, it would have been really interesting to see.
4 years.
Yeah, true. It's not eternity. I remember a conversation I had with my mum. I might have told you this already about Pokemon. When I was in grade 6, it was like the height of Pokemon cards in the Game Boy game, first generation. And I was totally obsessed with it. Like I used to go to sleep wishing that Pokemon were real and that I could
wake up as a Pokemon trainer.
So honestly, like I would wanted nothing more than to be able to like actually battle Pokemon with my friends.
Do you think, just a detour, do you think that's coming soon with like the advent of VR? Like, do you think virtual reality could make that a reality?
I guess, way better. Definitely, yeah.
Which is super cool. Because even like Pokemon Go, it was pretty cool to just see the Pokemon in real life. In IRL, yeah.
Man, with virtual reality, which is another thing since I was a kid has been promised.
Yeah.
I remember, do you remember the Ferals?
No.
That would have been before your time. So the Ferals was like...
Radis the rat, Medicliana the cat.
They've been watching Feral TV and they're never coming back. Something like that. So the Ferals hadn't... Before Feral TV, they were just called the Ferals. And they had an episode where I guess the guy who owned them, or like who lived in the house, the human character... had got VR, virtual reality. And I was like, well, this is going to be fucking awesome. I can't wait for this to be real. And I remember my dad explaining like, like with technology, they'll be able to, what he's doing will be able to come real, but it's not really real at the moment. So this would have been still in the 90s. Yeah. But it took that's 25 years for, Oculus Rift and like the VR places to come along. Yeah. So it's been way slower, but I can't wait for it to be like proper reality real.
Because I actually remember a time when like touch screens were like incredible.
Yes.
The Nintendo DS, it was like, what? You can touch the screen and it responds. And now it's like, kids now that's a given. Like everything has a touch screen. But at the time, I remember it being a revolution that a phone could have a touch screen.
I remember the AMF bowling near our house had some kind of game that you could play that was touchscreen. It wasn't it wasn't on the lanes. It was up in the the arcade section, and it was touchscreen. And even back then, I remember being like, "Oh my god, this is crazy!" Like the heat of your finger is making this work.
Now ATMs have touchscreen. Like everything.
Yeah. Now you wouldn't now buttons is weird for kids coming up. Buttons will be weird.
Yeah. So
this thing that runs the whole podcast.
Yeah.
Very ancient technology with buttons.
But it does have a touchscreen. The Roadcaster has a touchscreen. What was the story about Pokemon, though, with your mum?
Oh, yeah. I forget why we were talking about it, but I remember my mum having a conversation with me about, like, you do realize in the future you won't care about Pokemon as much as you do now. And I was like, I don't think so much. It's like, well, think about...
that's true for me.
Think about...
Like, I reckon I think about Pokemon as much or more than I did when I was that age. Like, legit.
Well,
sorry.
She said to me, she's like, well, remember when how much you loved Ninja Turtles when you were really little, and now you don't really care about Ninja Turtles. Just imagine the same thing happening with Pokemon. And I was like, no, but like,
this is
really love
it's not
Pokemon.
A phase.
I really love Pokemon. But I did grow out of it. Sorry, Mike. I couldn't join you on the enthusiasm that you still have for Pokemon. I couldn't name one Pokemon in the plus 150 category.
Yeah. Well, do you know Mew? The Pokemon Mew?
Is that 151? Okay.
Mate. Called it. Called ya. Got him. He's got him.
I do know Mew. I didn't know how to get it. There was a way that you could get Mew.
We talked about this when you came on my podcast last time. So we are now now redoing the other podcast.
Well, for the full Mew chat, everybody can check out episode
5.
Episode 5 of 20th Century Boy.
Yes. All right. We're getting to the end of this. I hope that's okay.
Did we also say we would have talked about this? I had a Charizard, an original Charizard.
Like the Pokemon card?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Oh. You know those can go up to like I think $8,000 or something, like a holo original.
I wish I knew that now because you told me you bought one for $50.
No, I bought one for $3.
What?
I think it was the biggest steal in the world. So one of my good mates who occasionally listens to this podcast, Harry Handley, who now lives in America, we used to work together at Dan Murphy's over in Kew. And I was trying to complete my Pokemon card collection back then, still am. And Harry was like, hey, I've got a bunch of like shiny cards. I know they're worth like a fair bit, but if you want, you can just have them for like $15. So he gave me like 10 shiny cards for like $15. Which thank you so much, Harry. I really appreciate it. But I just think he didn't care about them at all, and I don't know if he could be bothered trying to sell them properly. But the Charizard card he gave me it's nowhere near mint condition. It's like very creased and stuff, but it's still something.
Right? Because I thought. Did you ever buy one for $50? Or maybe you told me they usually go for $50 because
they're very pricey. They're the rarest card, I think.
see, I was saying that on Christian O'Connell's show because they don't care one bit about Pokemon. And I said, well, I used to have the rarest card, the Charizard. And then I think they got in their head like an $8,000 price tag on it. And they were like, well, how much do they go for now? And I go, well, up to $50. My friend Mike paid for. No. And they're like, that's the
Christian
shit.
makes fun of me on your show all the time as well. So you've just like, he probably has in his mind that I'm this like fucking idiot. And he's like,
well, have you told the story about the first interaction that you guys ever had?
Which one?
The prank call in the car.
No, that's not the first interaction we ever had.
Oh, what was the first interaction?
I don't think he remembers this, but like, because I don't know if we can even talk about this, so we can cut it out. But do you remember like the first year you started on that show, for like a very short window, you were trying to get me a job?
Oh
on your
yeah,
show?
no, we can mention that.
Oh yeah. So there was a very short period where it was like potentially, like tentatively of interest that I would maybe go and do work on that show.
Yeah.
Pretty much to just me and Jack.
Yeah.
And
that still gets used as a joke in the radio team where people go like, Jack, remember the time Jack wanted an assistant? But I wanted you to come on as a producer, but because I suggested you, they were like, Jack wants an assistant.
Oh God. And but that was probably my first interaction, which was when you told me to email Christian with like my CV and stuff. And
what did he write back?
He actually was really nice. He said, "Hey mate, thanks for this. You've got a great CV for someone your age, and he said, leave it with me." So I assume he's still working on it.
He picks it up every couple of weeks.
But I think, didn't it end up as like they didn't want or need someone else?
They just didn't want to put an extra person on, which was crazy because Gold is in the same building as Kiss, which is Jason PJ at the same time as us. And they had, at the time, I think they had 4 more people working on their breakfast show than we had.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Now they're still 2 ahead, but we've managed to get a few more.
And what were we oh yeah, the prank call. Yeah. So
oh, the prank call.
So Jack was in, I can't remember why this even happened, because I think I didn't know that I was on a private number, and I called Jack, and you answer the phone differently if it's a private number.
Yeah.
You say, "Hello, this is Jack," right? Whereas if you knew it was me, you'd be like, "Hey, Mikey," right?
Yeah.
And based on the way you answered, I knew that I must have been on a private number and that you didn't know it was me. So instantly I'm like, oh, I have to do a prank. Like I just have to. So did I say I was like Colin?
So from my side of it, I'm in the car. Mike comes through the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, the private number comes through the Bluetooth, and I've got Christian for the first time ever riding next to me. The first time I'm ever driving him anywhere. He's the passenger in my car.
And obviously I have no idea that Christian is in the car.
And I don't say, because I don't know the person on the other end, I don't say like, hey, you're in the car with Christian. I just say, hey, it's Jack.
Yeah.
And you said you were Damien and that you were
from
Gumtree and you were interested in buying or selling.
Buying your
bedside
table, which your wife Bianca had put up on Gumtree and listed your number.
But the kicker was...
All improvised, guys. All improvised. That's the stuff that comes out of my mind.
But he was doing a British accent. Damien was British.
I was doing a Christian, pretty much doing Christian's accent. I was like, hello, Jack. It's Damien here from Gumtree. I just wanted to call about the bedside table you've got on Gumtree from your wife Bianca.
So as the prank goes on, I start to think that it's not Damien from Gumtree because I'm not selling bedside tables. And then I really narrowed down to all my friends who would do a prank to only Mike. So I was like, oh, I think this is Mike. And I'm so embarrassed to say, because Christian the whole time looking at me like, what the fuck is this? What is this?
Which you would be.
So I eventually said something.
There wasn't anything especially funny about the prank.
No, it wasn't a funny prank. You weren't stitching me up.
It was just like, I'm doing a prank just because. Like...
No, there was no gotcha moment at all.
Yeah, like it was like was I meant to just come out and be like, oh, it's Mike, you fucking idiot. You fucking idiot. How could you think that was Damien, you fucking idiot?
But what you told me afterwards, because then I said, well, if this isn't Damien, I'll just let you know I'm in the car with my new boss, Christian O'Connell, and then you were like, oh, hi, Christian, or whatever you did.
Yeah.
But later you told me.
Christian spoke to me. He was like, which one of Jack's friends is this immature? That's what he said on the phone.
Yeah, I remember he wasn't impressed by it.
Oh.
And then you told me, you're like, oh, that's so lucky. Just In the split second that I thought of like what character I was going to be, I almost chose Christian O'Connell.
Yeah, I there was a part of me that was like, oh, I'll just pretend I'm Christian and I'm calling from a private number. Like, so I was going to be like, hey, Jack, it's Christian.
That would have been such a
And
weird.
it would have been so awkward because it would have looked like it's a regular
that
thing
we do
I
it all the time.
And you like mock him, Jack does not do that, but it would have kind of looked like that. But just for
Like I always just as soon as I leave the station, call my best friend to just go like, "Hey, let's make fun of Christian O'Connell again. I have to get it out of my system." Hello, I'm British Christian O'Connell here. How are you, British Christian O'Connell?
and yeah, like I just went with Damien. So yeah, that was the first interaction I had with him.
Yeah, but it didn't deter you from doing prank calls because you'll still go for one if you're on a private number, which you are a lot. What are you always changing to private number for?
I do prank calls all the time. Sometimes I get bored and I just prank friends. And they always immediately know it's me. Like ask Luke Kidgel, one of my good mates. I will call him once a week and just be like, all right, it's Tim from the Commonwealth Bank here. Your account's been hacked into.
Well, I think would probably get harder and harder year on year as you get older and less people do pranks at your age. It's kind of like Bart Simpson did them to Most Heaven at 10 years old. So at 26, it's kind of old to still be doing prank calls. But
long live the prank.
I still welcome them. I think it encourages creativity and I like to see new characters being developed.
That's why I do them, yeah.
Let's do a prank call.
No,
let's do a prank call right now.
Okay.
Let's do a prank call.
Live
Yes.
prank. Who should we prank?
Can we hook into the system?
Who do you, well, we don't have headphones or anything.
Oh, right.
So,
Yeah. Just put it on speakerphone.
who-
Not Luke.
do you-
'Cause
should-
Luke is, he always knows it's you.
Oh, who will we prank then? Like, who do you want to prank?
Do Keelan, who works on the Luke and Lewis show.
Keelan's one of my mates and he works on the Luke and Lewis show. I'll just block my caller ID, which always takes a while. So just talk amongst yourself, Jack.
Keelan and I are going bowling together.
Yeah, he told me that actually. All right, here we go.
Do you want to come? I was going to ask you if you want to come.
Yeah, I'd love to. Here we go. What are we just doing? All right, I'll start it. It's ringing. It's ringing. It's ringing. Guys, it's ringing. No pickup so far, guys. Should we try someone else?
Yeah.
I reckon. Oh, it picked up right at the end there. Should I just do it again?
Yep.
All right, sorry. All right, here we go. All right, it's ringing.
It's ringing.
Hello?
Hello, Killen. This is Hartley from National Australia Bank. How are you today?
Good.
That's good. Hi, mate. We're just calling to offer assistance on your debit credit account. Could you provide the details for the account for me now, please? Just the number and the full name and date of birth.
Is this a real call? I can't tell. It sounds like you're putting on a voice.
Oh, no, it's Hartley here from the National Australia Bank, situated in the city of Melbourne. I'll just pass you on to my colleague, Dimitri.
Yeah.
Hello, Keelan. Hello, Keelan.
Ooh, we better call him back. We better call him back. Just say
You tell me
it's
Dimitri
Dimitri. It's Dimitri from NAB. It's ringing, guys.
Should I change my voice or do I have to commit to it now?
just
I
see
wasn't
what
very
happens.
happy with it.
Just see what happens. Oh,
He's clued on.
I reckon just hang up.
Hello, is that Keelan? Keelan, it's Damien here from National Australia Bank. I am sorry about my colleague. Are you there?
Yeah.
There's no problem with... Sorry. There's no problem with your account. We just need to verify that your surname is... What is it again?
Who is this?
Damien from National Australia Bank in the city.
I don't know.
You don't know your own surname.
We got it. What a fucking idiot! Fucking idiot!
Doesn't know his own surname.
Do we call him back and tell him?
Yeah.
Hey, this is a gotcha call. It's Matt Tilley. All right, here we go. Here we go.
It's ringing.
It's ringing, guys.
It's ringing.
Let's call him one more time. Jack's opened my sock. No, don't hold up my Bonds undies. Hello, Keelan. This is Dimitri Williams from the National Australia Bank. How's it going? Okay.
Do the gotcha bit.
What?
Do the gotcha bit.
Hey, Keelan, guess what? It's Mike and Jack. We gotcha.
Gotcha.
It's a gotcha call. All right, bye. Gotcha call. I don't know what happened there.
No.
All right, we're finishing up. It's gone for far too long and it's descended into chaos. So, finish up. What is one book, movie, and album that everyone should listen to, read, and watch?
Oh, that's cool. I must have never got to the end of your mic talks before. Is this something that you do every week?
I sort of started it with the Ruben episode where I asked him about album.
Yep.
Then with Broden Kelly, I asked him album and movie. Now I'm doing album, movie, book.
Okay. Album, movie, book. All right.
Doesn't have to be your favorite. It's just everyone should listen to, watch, and
Sure.
Yeah.
This is there is a great album. It doesn't even have all my favorite songs on it, but Against Me, the album is called New Wave.
Okay.
It's just like a perfect album start to finish.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
It's like, if for people who don't know Against Me, it's like, should I explain the band or it's not
punk,
necessary?
Yeah? They're a punk,
yeah, like
an
a
old
punk
school
band,
punk, yeah.
like in the same like eras, Green Day and Blink-182.
Yeah.
Even though they're still around.
Yeah.
New Wave came out 2007. I was listening to it on the way here.
Nice.
Great album.
Cool. I'll check it out.
Movie?
Yep.
I'll come back to movie.
Mm-hmm.
Book. I'm just starting a great book at the moment. I mean, I guess it's not my favorite book of all time.
Okay, well, don't do that one.
No, but so far I like it. I actually like it so much. I was like,
I know, but this is a big question. It's
Okay,
like a
okay, so
book everyone should read.
everybody should read. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh gosh, okay. Oh, you know what book I love? I think I've recommended it to you before as well. Even if you don't love tennis, the Andre Agassi biography. It's called Open. Andre Agassi
Ryan
Open.
Shelton talked about that as well.
Oh man, it's so good. I listened to the audiobook version of it where it's got him as the narrator. It's the first chapter is unbelievable. He essentially starts before his last match of tennis, like he's in the I was going to say the waiting room, but that's not what they call it in tennis. Mr. Agassi, we'll see you now. This way to centre court.
So what's the problem today? Oh, I'm really nervous about this tennis match.
Well, interesting. Like he talks about how much he hates tennis.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But like the rituals he goes through to still be, he was one of the best in the world, but he hated tennis. Honestly, I don't care really much about tennis at all, but loved that book.
Okay. Nice.
Andre Agassi Open. Then a movie that everybody should watch.
Yeah.
Great question. My favorite film is Wayne's World.
Okay. Yep. With Mike Myers.
Yeah, but not everybody has to watch that. I felt like if you watched it now, you probably have to have nostalgia tied to it for it to be the classic that it is.
Sure.
I liked The Departed, but this is like not movies that people must watch.
I mean, I think it's just like in your head.
Yeah.
Do you think everybody should watch that movie? Like, do you think it's like, is it just a classic? Is it super funny? Is there a meaning behind it that you think is important? Like that kind of thing.
I know. Okay, I got a good one. This, for some reason, this movie doesn't get mentioned enough. It's called The Game. It's got Michael Douglas in it. Have you ever heard of it?
Nah.
For whatever reason, it just like is not on the radar. I don't know how old it is. 20 years old. It's so good. I love it. I'm going to watch it again today. I'm so excited to watch it.
Okay.
The Game. I don't want to say too much about it because it's like the intrigue of the game that he's playing. You don't know much about it.
Okay.
But he enters into this game.
Is it like a sci-fi or is
No,
it
not sci-fi, like real life thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, if you guys like thrillers, watch The Game. Michael Douglas.
And if you guys like Thriller by Michael Jackson, that's on Spotify.
Yeah.
Good album.
Yep. Or watch the video clip on YouTube.
And with that, we end another edition of Mike Talks. That was really good, man. And I imagine, like, the thing with Mike Talks is it's not like you come on once and that's your go and you're done. Like, I'd love for you to be like a recurring guest on this. 'Cause
Okay.
It's been really fun.
Thanks, man. Do I have to have another album and book? Or?
Yeah, you'd have to come up with... I mean, that's just, you know, you've got a lot of wisdom behind you, you know.
Okay.
All right.
Man, thanks for having me. I'd love to. So I'll be
thanks,
on
Jack
next
Rose.
episode or?
Not next one, nah.
Okay, so the one after that.
Possibly,
One
if,
after
if I
that.
can't find someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mikey.
Thanks, man.
Sorry I looked through your underwear drawer.
Pretty weird. This podcast was a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to check out all our other content, stay up to date at radio.mike on Instagram, and get in touch, radiomikepod@gmail.com.